Texas Senator Ted Cruz. Senator Cruz, great to see you, sir. Thanks for coming back on. I've got a whole laundry list of things for you, as always. But, you know, I don't know if you saw it this morning, the front page of the New York Post about Joe Biden's train wreck. It's a fabulous cover, as so many postcards. I talked about it with our Brian Kilmeade on the first segment, and it lists out a whole bunch of things, you know, gasoline prices and the border crisis and Title 42 and baby formula crisis and inflation and the like. But I just wanted to start generically with you. You're a great thinker. I mean, isn't this really the total collapse of the so-called progressive agenda? What Newt Gingrich calls, you know, big government socialism. Government runs everything, including this woke culture, which is part of the progressive agenda that people are rebelling about. I mean, in basically 18 months, sir, isn't that really what's going on here?
Yeah, Larry, I think that's exactly right. You know, normally in a Democratic administration, you have some checks and balances within the Democratic Party. You have the liberals among the Democrats, but you have some centrist or moderate Democrats who push back. What is really unprecedented about the Biden White House and about Schumer and Pelosi is they have entirely handed their agenda over to the radical left. It is the hard left socialist. It's the Bernie Sanders, the AOCs, the Elizabeth Warrens who are driving the agenda. And that has proven to be an absolute disaster. I've joked out on the campaign trail. And so in some ways, what Joe Biden has done is remarkable. He's managed to get everything wrong. I mean, you know, if you just rolled the dice, if you just threw a dart at a wall, accidentally you'd get some policy right. But what he's done on economics, he follows the socialists. On immigration, he follows the open border radicals. On wokeism, he follows the hard left that wants to censor and silence and control. And on foreign affairs, he follows the voices of weakness and appeasement in the Democratic Party. And domestically, economically, it's been a train wreck. And abroad, as a national security matter, it's been even worse.
I mean, I ask it to you because, first of all, you are a leading thinker, intellectual in the GOP and among conservatives. And, you know, we're heavy into the election season, as you know. And I just feel that is an important theme. Like, we know gas prices are a disaster. We know inflation is a disaster. We know the stock market is cratering and maybe predicting recession. But generically, you know, Ted, the big picture here is the absolute failure of big government socialism, woke central planning, government control over everything, and the so-called, and the progressives fail wherever they go. I mean, wherever you try these experiments, they always fail. Why are we shocked or surprised?
Well, you're exactly right. Socialism doesn't work, and it's produced misery and suffering and poverty and death wherever it's been applied. You know what's striking, as you know, I do a podcast every week called Verdict with Ted Cruz. And the latest podcast, one of the things I talked about is the indications that the kids are running the place at the White House, that there are no adults in charge, that there's no principle. And when that was really driven home to me was Biden's State of the Union address. Listen, it's not rocket science that the Democrats are headed for an absolute disaster of an election in November. They know that. They know they're going to lose the House. They know there's a very good chance they lose the Senate. Any ordinary office holder, any adult, any president in that position would say, hey, let's change course. Maybe we can do something not to lose both houses of Congress. And what astonished me was the State of the Union. Joe Biden didn't even try. They made no attempt to move to the middle. You and I both remember Bill Clinton masterfully changing course and avoiding electoral disaster for his party. And the fact that Biden didn't even try that, what that tells me is that he no longer has the mental acuity to be aware of what's going on, and it's the woke children, the staffers around him. And I've analogized them to the guy with the cowboy hat at the end of Dr. Strangelove riding the bomb all the way down. They're going to ride the socialist bomb right till it blows up on Election Day in November.
Yes, well, I'm afraid so. So now, as you know, gasoline prices hit another record high today. Oil prices, basically, despite the strategic petroleum reserve cell that I think made no sense at all from a national security point. But that hasn't helped. I mean, oil prices are higher today than they were when the SPRO thing was announced. I know you've written a letter with a group. I wanted to pursue that. You've talked to the National Marine Fisheries Service to unlock some permits for additional production online. You can't let the Endangered Species Act ruin it. As you know, also, Senator, the whole NEPA permitting process has been redone. No permits are being issued for fracking, for pipelining, maybe even for bridges, roads, and tunnels. Here's my question. At the end of the day, no matter what they occasionally say, don't the Bidens really want higher gasoline prices and higher oil prices because they think it's going to help their Green New Deal agenda? Really? They're not interested in consumers. They're interested in their ideological agenda.
Of course they do. That's what Joe Biden campaigned on. He told the American people, if you elect me, I'm going to shut down drilling. I'm going to shut down drilling on federal land. I'm going to end oil and gas drilling. That's what he promised on the campaign trail. And every day in the White House, this administration has been trying to implement those policies to just hammer domestic energy production. And this is the intended effect. You know, it's interesting. The White House now suddenly, a few months out from the election, realizes in a panic, holy cow, people don't like paying $5, $6, $7 a gallon for gas. And so they're trying to blame everybody else. They're trying to blame Putin. That's in particular their story is Putin, Putin, Putin. They think the American people are stupid. You know, yesterday I did a press conference where I had this particular chart, and this chart lays out how Biden has driven up prices. Russia invades Ukraine here. So all of this had nothing to do with Russia invading Ukraine. You could argue a chunk of this is because of Russia, but all of this wasn't Putin. And since then, on March 1st, he released oil from the SPRO, but it kept going up anyway. And March 12th, he cancels even more lease sales. And on March 21st, the SEC proposes their new anti-oil rule to cut off capital for new drilling. Brutal. All of this was the intended effect of these radicals.
I know. Actually, if your staff gets my producers, I'm going to put that up on the full screen during the show.
Great.
Okay.
Great.
We appreciate
we'll get it to you.
Yeah. Now, Elizabeth Warren wants price controls. Elizabeth Warren and her group in the Senate want excess profits taxes. They say on things like grocery stores, but you and I know it's aimed primarily at energy, at the fossil fuel industry. Can you tell us that stuff will never get through, please? Really? Never get through?
Look, I hope so, but the bizarre thing is the socialists are just doubling down. I mean, you saw Chuck Schumer say, if you're worried about inflation, we need to raise taxes. We just need to hammer the hell out of people with even higher taxes. That is spectacularly stupid, even for a Democrat that actually deserves a prize for backwards thinking. Right. Listen, I'm reminded of there's an old SNL skit where Christopher Walken is producing a band singing, and his solution to every song is more cowbell. Play more cowbell. That's what it needs. The Democrats want more cowbell. They want trillions more in spending, trillions more in taxes, trillions more in debt. And you know what? That produces the inflation that Americans are paying right now.
So I've got two more things briefly, sir. One of them is coming up, the deadline on Title 42. I mean, we're already seeing a couple 100,000 people cross the border. Again, I think 230,000 illegals in the month of April. It's basically an open border. Is there a Republican legislative strategy on the Senate to stop this, to substitute? I think Bill Hagerty wants to substitute fentanyl for COVID and then keep the health restriction going. Is there anything you can tell us that would be hopeful about defending the border?
So there's a lot that we can and should be doing to secure the border. Ending Title 42 is madness. Even with Title 42, last year, the Biden administration let 2 million people illegally into the country. That's the highest rate in 62 years. As you mentioned, last month, we had 240,000 come in the month of April. That pace annualized is 3 million people crossing illegally. This is staggering. And if they rescind Title 42 on top of it, those numbers only go up and up and up. We need to vote on it in the Senate to preserve Title 42. We need to get everyone on record.
Last one, sir, quickly. Newt Gingrich and I and Russ Vought, we're all developing a pro-growth, supply-side, balanced budget project, which we hope the good thinkers in the House and Senate will embrace for growth, to restore 3.5% to 4% growth, to lower inflation, Senator, trim spending, tax rates, flat tax reform, make the Trump tax cuts permanent, go back to deregulation. Can we sell this to senators?
Amen. As Tom Cruise's character says in the movie Jerry Maguire, you had me at hello. Yes, yes, yes. Pro-growth, pro-jobs, balanced budget, stop the madness, cut the taxes, flat tax, abolish the IRS, fill out our taxes on a postcard, end the regulations that are strangling job creation. The one thing I'd tweak is you said 3 to 4% growth. I think we can be aggressive. I think we can be pushing for 4 and 5% growth if we lean in. And there's nothing more powerful for turning this country around, for lifting people out of poverty, and for paying down our debt than robust growth. As you know, Reagan in 1984, after he cut taxes and repealed regulations, growth in 84 was 7.2%. So don't let the naysayers say we have to be stuck in anemic 1 and 2% Obama growth or negative growth under Biden. We can grow, we can create jobs, and we can lift people into prosperity.
Yeah, save America, balance the budget. Senator Cruz, you had me at hello. Thank you, sir. Terrific stuff. Talk soon.
Thanks, Larry.
You bet.